Look at his hair right now. You know what he reminds me of? Because I'm an island boy. I'm a leather face. All right, I'll stop. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris's Custom Collectibles. And today we are going to be pimping out the Trick or Treat Studios Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface mask from the 2003 remake. Usually I would show you the mask before we start work on it, but I've had to re-record this intro. Reason being is I recorded my original intro that you see right here, and there is the mask in all its glory before we got to the thick of the work on it. Now I had gone ahead and removed the hair. There was next to no hair on this thing. It was quite thinning. It didn't have a full head of hair on the both panels at the back, which you will see at the end of the video. We recreate that full thick head of hair. But upon starting customizing the piece, I realized this method is not sound. And the method that I originally explained at the beginning of that original intro just would not make sense. So we are starting fresh with a brand new intro. So originally I was going to use the pre-existing paint job on this mask, and it just did not turn out right. So we had to start completely from scratch, and it was the best decision ever in the end. Now the awesome thing about this mask, much like in the vein of the H40 Michael Myers mask and the Halloween Kills mask, and I'm eventually guessing the Halloween Ends mask, this mask comes from the master mold from Mr. Scott Stoddard, who sculpted the original mask for the 2003 film. How fucking cool is that, man? I do know that they went in and retooled a few things and added a few extra wrinkles here and there. Just comparing this casting to the screen use mask, the screen use mask is sort of a lot more smoother, whereas this one has a few more wrinkles and details added here and there. Nonetheless, it's such a good representation of the screen use mask. So right off the bat, this is a perfect blank canvas. So like I said, we've already gone ahead and stripped the hair off, and I showed you the footage of the remnants of what was left of that original hair. Again, it was very thinning, next to no hair. We do have to have two big, thick, luscious heads of hair on the two panels at the back. We're gonna have a light brown on this side and a dark brown on this side. Now, the very first step before any of that, we're gonna open up some of the holes around the stitching, especially on the forehead here, just to make it seem a bit more three-dimensional and give it a bit more depth. Now, as I mentioned, I tried to use the pre-existing paint job, just didn't work. It was too pink. We really have to go for that off flesh, bone white kind of look as a base. So I'm actually gonna be using the same paint that I used on the Halloween Kills mask. It's an off-white mixed with some liquid latex. But before that, we've got to open up those stitch holes. So that being said, let's get to it. Oh, it is time for some shitty commentary. So of course, we're going to gut out the areas where the stitches are, and it's just going to be on the forehead. And again, like I said at the beginning of the video, this just helps with achieving that look of depth and a sense of realism, like there are pieces of skin sewn together. Now you can go all out, go for it if you want to do it all over the mask. Most times out of 10, it is going to be covered by hair, so it's mostly just on the forehead and also a little bit around the eyes, just to open them up a little bit. Now, like I said, for the paint work, we have a off-white acrylic paint mixed with some liquid latex. This is the exact same mixture that I used on the Halloween Kills Trick or Treat Studios mask, and I'm just really going hard with a chip brush, getting it in all that detail, because there's a lot of detail on this mask, geeks and geekettes. And as you see right there, that was after 2 coats. Very happy, and there we have our perfect blank canvas. So this method was way better than the original method I had with utilizing the original stock paint. Now we're just going to get some ever so slightly watered down brown shoe polish, and this is just going to be a wash all over the entire mask. Once that's done, we're going to dab away the excess, and that is going to start the change from the off-white to that sort of fleshy bone white that we want. That is the look that the screen use mask has. So like I said, when we've covered the entire mask with some brown shoe polish, we're then going to dab away the excess. In this case, I do it in sections because it was quite a hot day and it was starting to dry on me, so I kind of had to act quick and get in there and start to dab away that excess shoe polish. And you see right there,
it's already picking up that beautiful detail. I'm loving it, and it's achieving that flesh, bone, off-white. So we're gonna do the exact same process, but this time with some ever so slightly watered down black shoe polish. And again, you might have to do this in sections pending where you are in the world. If it's a hot climate, it's a cold climate, go for it. It's gonna buy you enough time to cover the entire mask and then dab away the excess. Now, once those coats of shoe polish had properly dried, we're then going to start to go in and do our detail work, and that is going to be utilizing some artist oils. So firstly, right off the bat, after everything's dry, we're going to grab ourselves a black artist oil color. This is Winton. I love this stuff, and this is just going in all the crevices, all the wrinkles, everything, just to bring out and give depth to this beautiful sculpt that Scott Studdard has done and achieved for the film, especially around the eyes and the lower lip. The eyes and the lower lip are very dark, very, very dark. Does change in some instances throughout the film because there were multiple masks, but also shading and highlighting the ears. Again, this is all about depth perception and really picking up the details to make it look like this skin has decayed and sagged, and also going into the parts that we didn't cut out between that leather stitching, and just making, again, look like this kind of empty void. And then we're going to grab ourselves a burnt umber. Exact same brand oil color, and this is just for the leather stitching. This is how we're going to color it. And what I love is it kind of leaves behind almost a leathery looking grain. And you do have to let this mask sit once the oil color's on for about 24 hours. Like I've mentioned in other custom collectibles, oil color takes a little bit longer to dry because you have to wait for that oil to evaporate out. But once it's there, it's soaked in.
So now that the paint job is all done and dusted, the final step is hairing this very handsome chap. So I have two different colors of hair, but before we get to that, we will be hairing this panel here and this panel here. Now, if you can just see faintly, I've gone in with a lead pencil and marked where my rows of hair are going to be. So this is obviously the most thickest and fullest part that's going to have the dark brown hair, and this area here is going to have the light brown hair. So from what I've seen on the screen used mask, there are two different shades of brown going on. Obviously it's two different scalps, which is fucking disgusting, but it's amazing. So the hair that we're going to be using is Ben Nye crepe hair. Now, I've used crepe hair before, most notably on that Part 5 Michael Myers bust I did a couple of months ago. It's very lifelike, feels very natural. There is a bit of prep involved. So for example, let's get this medium brown out, and as you can see, it comes plaited. So what we have to do, and it's already kind of started to unplait, is unplait it like so. Now you can either soak it in warm water to straighten it out or use a hair straightener. We're gonna go with the hair straightener. It's the quickest and easiest way. When you soak it, it does take a while and then you have to wait for it to dry. But obviously we can't have the hair looking like this when we hair the mask. We gotta have it straight. So what I'll be doing is untangling all of it, straightening it out, and then cutting it into sections. Now for the glue, we're gonna be using some good old-fashioned Gorilla Glue. This has been around since, God, even longer than me, I think. You could use liquid latex, you could also use Pros-Aid or Spirit Gum, stuff like that. To me, this just works pretty well, and especially in a humid climate like today. So I will be putting some Gorilla Glue on the strip as well as the end of the hair strip itself, letting it tack a bit and then tack it on. So we're going to repeat that step all through these layers here. Now, I'm going to see how it looks when it's all done, because I also have gone ahead and marked lines down the sides, whether that means for the hairline, we kind of go back in. When you do hair, you start from the back and work your way up. So with that being said, let's get to it.
Honestly, this is probably the most tedious part, is unraveling this hair, but it's kind of satisfying in a way when you do it, especially if you get a good lock of hair that just completely unravels with that string popping off. And again, there is a bit of prep required with this hair, but it's worth it in the end because it just looks so damn realistic. I then fired up Chloe's hair straightener and started straightening it all out. This probably takes about 10 minutes to do each long strand of hair, because these are long strands that I bought from Scotty's Makeup here in Sydney.
Quick little update. Remember I said we're going to be using Gorilla Glue? Well, scrap that. This stuff is fucking awful to use. It is the worst stuff to control. It takes forever to dry. I know it's supposed to be like a contact adhesive, but good, usual, regular contact adhesives don't take that long, and it's just really sticky, tacky, and again, very slow drying time. So we're gonna be using Old Faithful. I forgot how damn good this stuff is. Good old rubber latex. So this is sort of a thickened up one. It's not like one you'd feed through an airbrush or like really liquidy. It's just the perfect kind of consistency. And I've done a test row at the very back here, and it's so quick to dry once you hit it with the hairdryer. Once you give it a hit with the hairdryer, it is not going anywhere. It is great. So method is we're gonna lay down along the line here and then apply our hair. And with your brush, you really kind of want to soak it into each bit of hair just so it gets all the way through that hair onto the latex so it all kind of fuses together. So of course, like I said, we start from the back and we're gonna build our way up. I have left a bit of space here because I'm gonna have to do this method here all the way along here so it looks like a natural hairline, so to speak, so we don't see any glue lines and stuff like that. And I will be doing that process on this panel as well. So with that being said, it's time to hair this bad boy and do a really gnarly themed reveal.
Honestly, I just don't know why I didn't go with the liquid latex in the first place. I've used it in the past, it's beyond reliable. I just want to be gung-ho and assume that the Gorilla Glue would just be the same, but it's not. This stuff is so easy to work with, and if you're in a colder climate, just hit it with a hairdryer each row and it's dried, stuck there within a couple of minutes, which is great. So if you've got big, large surface area to cover with hair, this is the best option because you can smash out so much bulk hair work before you know it. Now with the hairline here, I'm just really bunching it up like so, and he looks quite dready.
Look at his hair right now. You know what he reminds me of? Because I'm an island boy, I'm a leather face. All right, I'll stop. Alrighty, so we're gonna let this side dry and we're gonna continue on with the lighter brown up on this panel.
Now one of the final steps is we've got to brush out those island boy looking dreads. Just grab a comb, a brush, whatever. Now keep in mind you are going to lose a lot of hair, but that is completely and utterly normal. Otherwise it's just going to be very afro-y and just too much hair going on. So take your time with this, do it row by row, make sure you're getting all that excess hair out of there, and then you can get to work styling it. So it's starting to take shape, as you can see right there, which is brilliant. Now, I also did go in with a very light spray of matte black spray paint on the lighter brown, because it was just looking a little bit too light / ginger for my liking. But once everything was styled, it was beautiful. Now, the next shot, you will see how much excess hair was left behind. Look at all that. It's ridiculous, but that is totally normal. So after applying some water and then really making it manky and disgusting, I went in with a VO5 hairspray just to keep it all in place, glue it down in place, and then with a hit of matte black spray paint just on the lighter brown, and we're good for the final reveal.
So thanks very much for watching, guys. With that being said, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on the brand new Netflix Chainsaw Massacre. This is obviously a direct sequel to the original 1974 film, much in the vein of Halloween 2018. I, for one, wasn't the biggest fan. I get the direction they were going in, but it just didn't work for me. Again, would love to know your thoughts down below. Guys, wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. Hope you will. Hope you're happy. Be merry, be silly. And until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.